Hi y'all. In today's video I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot your Z-Grill smoker as well as what the error codes. Hi y'all, Don here with Southern Backyard Cooking. Today's video I'm going to be demonstrating how to troubleshoot your Z-Grill smoker as well as what all the error codes mean. That is really critical when you're talking about having issues with your smoker. So if you like my video, please make sure you ring that bell, subscribe. That'll get you notifications for free anytime I post a new video. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is when we turn it on and we don't get any power. All right, so looking at our power switches right here, we're going to try to turn it on, and if we don't get any power, no lights light up, make sure you're in the off position and then turn to the on position. That's the first step. If we don't get the power, like I'm not getting here, the next thing to do is to check and make sure that the power is plugged in. So grab the cord, and as you can see, my power is not plugged in. So I'm going to go plug it in. So I've got mine plugged in now, and so what I can do is turn it, and I have power. If I turn it to temperature, you can actually hear the fan come on. Now if it doesn't, most of these are on a GFCI outlet or a plug that controls the whole thing. So here is my controller with my GFC outlet, and what you would do is you would push this reset button in and it would pop this test button out. See, right now it's actually set, so anything that I have plugged into it will not operate. But if I push the reset button, it'll click and then it should be working. Now if after I've plugged it in, made sure it was on and off, checked my GFCI and reset it, then we also want to check the power cord and make sure that there's not worn or frayed or anything. Especially like me, I have a dog. Dogs like to chew on things. Sometimes they'll chew on that cord and it could cause that cord to have a short. If none of those work, then what you have to do is you'll have to take off your panel here, and there's a fuse in it. They pack an extra fuse and it's zip tied right on the outside of the fuse box. So all you have to do is clip the zip tie, and then you can get into the fuse box, pull the fuse, verify it's okay, and then try it. And if at that point you still don't have power, then I would call Z-Grills, especially if it's under warranty. Now you realize warranty for a Z-Grills is 3 years. So they will cover those parts and they will help you in troubleshooting it if you can't get the power on in these first few steps. Okay, our second area we want to talk about is if we're getting smoke coming out of our pellet hopper. This happens on several different occasions and it's not that uncommon. The biggest reason why it does that is if we run it on high, max temperature for an extended period of time, let's say an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, then it will start pushing some smoke back into it. If this is the case with yours where I've been running on high, then we want to turn it down to temperature, turn it off, get it and shut down, let it cool down some, make sure that there is no smoke or anything coming out. At this point, what I would also do is I would empty my pellet hopper, and I would go in and vacuum my ashtray and everything to make sure I get all those pellets out of there. And then I would add some pellets and run through the smoke cycle and make sure that it's not getting smoked continually in the pellet box. If it is, then you have a fan that's located behind this panel. You can actually get to it from the bottom. That fan may not be operating because it's blowing air down that chamber. That's really what helps pellets flame up and get a lot of heat out of very little wood. All right, the first error code I'm going to talk about is the ER1 error code. This directly connects to the thermostat, the temperature gauge inside. So when we turn it on and we turn it to smoke, if we get the ER1, that means a couple things. The first thing it could mean is that the wires are disconnected in some way. If your grill is brand new, then I would take these two screws off here, pull this out. I want to check the connections. Turn it off. I would also unplug it before I unscrew this, but I check and make sure that connection is tight. Okay, the second area in the ER1 code is I'm going to check is you have a wire that runs to the thermostat, and it is connected right here with a quick pin. Make sure that it's connected. Make sure it's pushed in real tight. These are generally right between the hopper and the chamber, and you can pull them out real easily. Okay, the most common error code you're going to get is the ER2 code. As I turn mine on, you'll see ER2. The only reason this is we already have it at some temperature. We're not in the shutdown cycle when we turn it on. So go all the way down the shutdown cycle and then turn it up, and your error code is fixed. All right, the next error code we're going to talk about is the HER code. This is high temperature. So basically this is whenever the grill, the smoker, gets above 550 degrees, and it stays at that for a prolonged period of time, usually an hour or more. All you have to do on this is let it cool down, cycle the unit off to cycle it back on, and put it back on smoke and bring it up to temperature, and it should work fine. All right, the last error code we're going to get and we're going to talk about today is the LER. This is low temperature. So this is basically when the grill gets below 120 degrees and it stays at that for at least 20 minutes. It's going to get an LER. The first thing that comes to mind when I get an LER is I've run out of pellets. So check my pellet. If I'm out, add some pellets. Put it back onto smoke and then back up to temperature. Okay, if I'm not out of pellets, the next area could be I have too many pellets in my ash pot. I've already taken all the equipment off, taken my cover off, and this is too many pellets in the ash pot. Sometimes if it's not reading, even though it's reading that it's not enough, but it's trying to push in, it just keeps on pushing pellets in. So it can't create a fire. If this is the case, we need to vacuum all the pellets out. First, we want to make sure we shut it down, turn the power off, and then vacuum all the pellets out. All right, the next cause may be I have too much powder, too much dust, because these pellets will create dust. You can see the dust along here, but if I have too much dust, there will be a ton of dust in this area, and I mean it'll be very, very noticeable. See, as you can see in my pellets, I don't have any at all. And that's the way you want it. Some of the reasons why I don't have pellets in here is I never fill this up. What I do is I have my pellets in 1-gallon Ziploc bags. Most of the time I cook at 225 degrees when I'm smoking. And I know from experience that I can get between 4 and 6 hours per bag. So I calculate how long I'm going to be cooking, and then I just put that many bags in. I may put a half a bag or a bag extra just to make sure. As we saw in here, I still have some left over from my last cook. The other area that may cause us to have low temperature is if these pellets get wet. See, my pellets are nice and crunchy. They're not wet. We live in a high humidity area down here in Louisiana. But right now, I'm not too worried about it because we're in the fall season. The fall season, I don't have nearly as much as humidity as I do in the summer. In the summer, I would have this almost dry. If you get a lot of rain and you don't cover your smoker, especially a lot of wind rain where it's a possibility that it could come up and over on the sides, that could also get your pellets wet. If you are in a rainy area, make sure you use the cover that came with it, the cloth cover that came with it. That'll help keep any unwanted water out of here. The last area that would cause a low temperature error is not just having too many pellets in here, but if I had too much, ash in here, it's not necessarily going to be as full as I have it here with pellets, but it's going to be all this ash that you see around, and you can see it's everywhere. So the best thing to do is about every 12 hours, I recommend about every 12 hours of use, is to vacuum your ash pot out as well as all the areas. Now what I use to vacuum is just a wet dry vac. I get this Rigid, and it's a 16 gallon. It's large, it's huge. You don't need anything this big, but whatever you have. This one I've had for several years, and all I do is hook it up and vacuum it all. So now I've vacuumed out my ash pot. Everything is nice and clean. The ash pot, when I vacuumed it out, I vacuumed everything out in it. The last thing that's a possibility, and I've had it happen to me once on my older smoker, is down here in the very bottom is where our igniter rod is. It is possible that the igniter rod could go bad. So the way you're going to check that is with nothing in it like it is now. When I turn it on, turn it to smoke, it should start getting red, should start getting hot. And if it doesn't, that could tell you that your igniter rod is going bad. As soon as you'll also notice, as soon as some of the pellets flow into there, that they'll start smoking and catch on fire. Okay, now you can see I've got some pellets going in there. It's been about 3 minutes, and you can see the smoke starting to rise out of that. That means that the igniter rod is actually starting to burn those, which is fine. Here in about another minute or so, those will actually display a big flame. And as you can see, there's the flame coming out, burning really, really good, really hot. All right, I hope you enjoyed my video today, and I hope these troubleshooting tips will really help you out. If you did, make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring that bell. Give me those big thumbs up, and until next time, folks, y'all have a great one.